Welcome to another edition of WorldView, the foreign policy show from Hindustan Times. And our guest today is Minister Victor Fedeli from the Canadian province of Ontario. He is the Minister for Trade and Economic Development and will be leading a virtual trade mission to Indian states this month. Unfortunately, he was supposed to have been here in person, but that's not going to happen because of the pandemic. And it would have been much better if we could have done this face-to-face, but let's talk to Minister Fedeli and find out about the trade mission. If you could just generally tell us about this trade mission. This has been happening for the past few years, and what are the sort of linkages you've been able to build up with India?
Well, first of all, thank you, Rizal, for having me on today to talk about this. This is our very first ever fully virtual, very comprehensive international ministers mission. And, you know, it's we know that the world will continue to recover from COVID-19, and we wanted to make very solid on our promise to return to India this year after such a successful trip we had to India last year. So everything that we managed to do last year, all of those visits with whether it's government counterparts or senior corporate executives or media like yourselves. We're participating in the Mobile Congress, India Mobile Congress. We're participating in events hosted by the Indo-Canadian Business Chamber, the Canada-India Business Chamber. We've got 13 companies here who are doing B2B meetings. They've had about 65 networking and B2B events with hundreds of Indian companies. So it's been a very important and very successful mission. Yes, it's different than, you know, in meeting in a hallway and having a coffee and finalizing deals like we salespeople like to do. But this technology has been working very well.
Minister, I would like to ask you, why did you focus on the three particular Indian states that you're, in touch with this time? Maharashtra, Karnataka, and Madhya Pradesh. One could understand the interest in Karnataka because of IT and artificial intelligence, but why the other two states? And I mean, what are you looking at in these three states?
Yeah, I think it's really, I think it would be very important to acknowledge that we are doing a tremendous amount of work in the ICT sector. We have had wonderful relations with the states of Maharashtra, Karnataka, and Madhya Pradesh. We know that there are good job opportunities for both institutions. We know that we've had good relations with our university and our colleges with both. So there's a natural attraction with our three.
I know that Ontario is a sort of a leader in ICT, information technology, artificial intelligence, manufacturing. But what are the sort of areas you're looking at in these three states which would complement those strengths that Ontario has?
Yeah, we've been discussing prospects for partnerships in trade and investment in those key sectors, including advanced manufacturing, tech, AI, and how Ontario and India continue this very fruitful partnership. Look, when I was in India last year, I heard a story, and that story I think was the strongest thing that I came away with, and it tells us just how much infrastructure and how much digital connectivity is going to be required in India, and why it's so very important that the province and our companies continue to be present in India, and especially the states that you talked about. Here's what we learned: every single minute of every single day, 30 people move from rural to urban centers in India. That's 16 million people a year. And can you just imagine the scale? For us in Canada, our capital is Ottawa. You would have to create a brand new city the size of Ottawa every single month to accommodate that movement. So that's the story that I tell back here, that to the Ontario companies, there is tremendous opportunity in India. Think of it as a blank canvas that you can go there and paint your future. Companies like Brookfield have made big investments in India. It's an Ontario company. I looked at the towers that I saw of theirs the last time I was there. And now Brookfield owns the largest privately held road network in India. That was a huge amount of infrastructure that India required, and that Ontario company was able to provide expertise. We've got other companies like OpenText, McCain, the Sun Life Financial, but it's not all a one-way street, Rizal. We've got Indian companies back here in Ontario, ICICI Bank, Tata, Wipro, Paytm, all have beachheads here in Ontario as well. And so it's extremely important that we continue that work together.
Minister, I would be remiss if I didn't ask you about another matter that came up recently. There were remarks by the Canadian Prime Minister on certain protests that are happening in India by Indian farmers. And there was a pretty strong Indian reaction to those comments, and there are some worries that ties could be hit by this issue. Is this something that you're looking at? Is this something that concerns you right now?
Well, first of all, Rizal, any type of violence is obviously troubling to hear about. However, here in Ontario, we know that this is a domestic political matter, and our virtual mission is really focused on growing trade and investment opportunities. We're here virtually in India to promote Ontario's advantages, our resilience in key sectors. We want to build those strategic partnerships in India that'll play a pivotal role in the government's, both our governments, continued economy and growth. But I can say it is a domestic political matter, but India is an open and democratic society. And our understanding is that your Home Minister Shah has reached out to those groups that are concerned with the various bills.
Basically, Ontario has a policy of open for business. But at the same time, India in the last few months after the pandemic impacted the economy has adopted a policy called Atmanirbhar Bharat, which is basically self-reliant India. Now, there are some people who have sort of seen this as possibly a move towards greater protectionism. But do you think that the policy that you have, open for business, could dovetail with the approach taken by India?
I absolutely believe that these are similar, and we've gone a step farther. Your self-reliant India, we have partnered with the Canadian manufacturers and exporters, and we've launched what we call Ontario Made. And so it's a development of a logo, a brand that you'll see if you walk into a hardware store. You can see paint with a big banner overhead that says Ontario Made, and you can focus in on that aisle and buy the cans of paint with the Ontario Made sticker on it. So it's not so much what I would say, what I think of self-reliant India and Ontario Made. These are heart-tugging pleas that are being made. This says, if you buy in India things that we're making in India, you're supporting your friends, you're supporting your neighbors, and you're supporting your country. In Ontario, when you buy Ontario Made, you're doing the same thing. So I view them not so much as a world trade issue as an education issue. You have a choice. You can walk into a store and make a choice. All things being equal, you can pick up the can of X made in India or the can of X made elsewhere in the world. It's your choice. But knowing that you have that choice and having self-reliant India as a campaign, and for us, Ontario Made, we've gone so far as to put that brand on 6,600 products so far, and hopefully more. So we want to show the rest of the world that we're open for business, but we understand the value of supporting domestic manufacturing, much like India is doing.
Minister, the other issue that has come up in sharp focus after the pandemic and its economic impacts is, a closer look at business with China, especially because of, the other concerns that are related to China. And this is something that's been seen around the world. Your country is currently having certain problems with China. Britain has its own problems with China over Hong Kong. We have a pretty serious border issue going on right now with China. And there has been talk about making alternative supply or value chains. Is this something that, I mean, although obviously the federal government would be making policies for this, but is this something that Ontario is looking at?
Well, Ontario and India already have a strong relationship. We work closely together on boosting our respective economies. I mentioned many companies from India working here and our companies working in India, but we can certainly continue to partner. We want to showcase how our supply chains and manufacturing sectors are, I think I would call it attractive options for the global marketplace. But look, now more than ever before, I think it's incredibly important that we explore these new partnerships and opportunities to increase trade and investment. Our trade with India, two-way trade, is $3.4 billion. I'm dealing Canadian dollars, Rezal. 3.4 billion Canadian dollars is two-way trade, but only 600 million leaves Ontario for India. We're importers of 2.8 billion from India. I think that's it's excellent, but it sure tells me that there's room for improvement. Our number one export is in the aerospace sector. So how many helicopters or planes can that be when our entire trade is 600 million? Our number two export, scrap metal. That doesn't say a lot for us. I think there are more products that we should be able to export to India. And certainly there are many more products from India that we can export here. And I think this supply chain will help in our mutual economic recovery.
When you talk about artificial intelligence and information technology, are there any specific areas that you would like to work with with Indian firms? Are you possibly looking at things like 5G or other technologies?
It's interesting. We are doing a lot of work in the ICT sector right now. We are the second largest ICT cluster in all of North America after Silicon Valley. It's interesting, by the way, that we're also the second largest automaker in North America, just after Michigan. And when you've got the second largest auto and the second largest IT in the same sector, when you see connected and autonomous vehicles being developed, we've got the technology and the manufacturing, advanced manufacturing workplace in Ontario. So it's a fascinating opportunity for those two, which is why Ford has built an autonomous and connected an autonomous center in Ottawa. General Motors built one north of Toronto. Uber just opened one a few blocks from where I'm sitting. The list goes on and on. So I think there's going to be a real interesting move when you see battery electric vehicles as well. We've got 20,000 ICT companies in Ontario alone, just operating across the province. 320,000 workers in the IT sector. So we're well poised, I think, to build the future of tech here, but we're particularly skilled in the field of artificial intelligence. This is home of the world-renowned Vector Institute, and that focuses on research expertise in the fields of deep learning and machine learning. So we know that the development in AI is going to be crucial to building the products and services that are going to be required tomorrow. And that's why Canada was the first country in the world to adopt a national strategy for artificial intelligence. Here in the GTA, we've got a large cluster of smart city related companies. There's 82,000 professionals that work in Toronto. There's 30 Ontario municipalities that have developed smart city proposals, ranging from whether it's smart food, youth engagement, smart learning. I know that Ontario and India have partnered on a program designed to help start up in India, Zone Startups India, built on the success of the digital media zone here in Toronto. So there's going to be some further opportunities supported by both our governments.
Also, Ontario is home to some 900,000 people of Indian origin. Does that sort of provide a ballast to the kind of relationship you're trying to build?
Rezal, there are 900,000 citizens in Ontario who come from India. We have over 50,000 Indian students every year. We have 200,000 tourists every year. And because of that, I mean, you look around the rest of Ontario, there's 165 countries represented here, 200 languages spoken here. We are a very diverse province. But Ontario and India, they share a number of economic, social, and cultural similarities. And I think that makes for a common set of goals and aspirations. And I think that's why we see the 60 Indian companies that are here, 100 Ontario companies that are in India. It's why we keep a trade office in Mumbai. We keep a trade office in Delhi. There are so many MOUs that we have. We spoke earlier, whether the MOU with Punjab, Haryana, the list goes on and on and on. We just think it's a great opportunity for the two jurisdictions to continue to work together on everything we've done has been remarkably successful. And again, I call it a blank canvas that we can be painting together. That our future lies ahead of us, and I really want missions like this to help us put the tools together to paint that picture together.
One quick final question, Minister. Have you kind of set any sort of a ballpark figure for, in terms of dollars of, what you're looking at this time? Are there any specific plans to sign any MOUs or agreements? And what would make you happy when you complete this mission? I mean, what are the goals you would like to achieve?
Well, there are always I'm a lifelong entrepreneur. Premier Ford, our leader here, is a lifelong entrepreneur. We're business people. And so we have our key KPIs, our key performance indexes that we'll follow. We have a set of metrics. But I can tell you the trip has already been a success. And I don't just mean from the two examples I'm going to give you in a minute, but we get to speak to the people that I consider friends I've met over the years now in our trips to India. It's a warm relationship that we have. When I see the Consul General on a Zoom call, or especially when we were seeing her in person, your face just wants to light up. You feel so warm with all of the leaders that we've met. There's just a really solid feeling that we are on the same mission together. Yes, we've had success. We have an announcement Monday that a company, Pack Universe, is going to be opening here. They're spending $6 million. It's their first investment outside of India. They're hiring 40 people, and they're opening a manufacturing facility. That's a success. We have another one being announced today, PCI. They are an auto parts company. They are going to make their first international investment in a plant here in Ontario, and they're going to create 80 jobs. So yes, we've had those are two announceables that have come out of it so far. We've got MOUs that we are working on with other levels of government. Our 13 companies, our debrief will be next week, but what I've heard so far is that there is some business being done amongst them, and they're very pleased. So for our very first virtual mission, I would say mission accomplished. It's been very successful. Look, there's tremendous amount to do. And we hope that the meetings that we had and the seeds that we planted about Ontario's vast talent pool, our innovation, the AI and the things you and I talked about, the competitive costs. Ontario has reduced the cost of doing business since we got elected 2 years ago, we've reduced the cost of doing business in Ontario by $7 billion every year going forward by lower taxes, lower energy rates, reducing red tape, all of the I could give you line by line by line, but it's $7 billion. So we're a competitive cost jurisdiction. When you locate here, we have trade agreements with 50 countries. So an Indian company locating here in the auto parts, they've got free trade with the US and Mexico. We've got 50 trade deals around the world that they have access to, which is really important. And then I talked about our diverse, not only a diverse economy, but a diverse society as well. Those are the kinds of things that are so important and are bringing the success. And because of all those things that I just mentioned, that was our sales pitch all week. We expect more companies from India to be attracted here. And we expect the 13 companies that are on Ontario companies on the virtual mission, we expect them to be not only selling to India, but bringing in, importing from India as well. So I would say it's a two-way success.
Minister, it's been a pleasure talking to you, and hopefully we'll be able to do this next time face-to-face.
I look forward to it, Reza.
Thank you.
Thanks very much.